I used to go hungry and steal just to keep my mom going. Now, 5 years after I finally cut her out of my life, she's asking for forgiveness. But this time, it's my decision. By the time I was 11, my mom saw me as someone she could rely on completely. I'd already figured out how to cook dinner with almost nothing in the fridge, how to wash my own clothes, and how to wrap myself tight at night so I could pretend someone was there holding me. She wasn't gone, just always locked away in her room saying she was working on her art. I never questioned why her art didn't cover rent or groceries. I just assumed she trusted me to keep us going. So when I'd wake up sweating through summer nights with no AC or flinch at loud sounds in the dark, I felt proud, like I was doing my part. At friends' houses, I'd cook dinner for their families, clean their kitchens top to bottom, even pick up spare change between sofa cushions. People always said, "Your mom must be amazing to raise a kid like you." And I'd smile and say, "Yeah, she's the best." No one asked why I was so thin, why I slept on the floor, or why I couldn't finish a sentence without apologizing. They just thought I was well behaved. One day, after being shut in for nearly a week, my mom finally stepped out of her room. I rushed to her with my report card. "Look, Mommy, I did great," I said. She glanced at it, exhaled hard, and asked, "Sweetheart, what day is it?" "Wednesday," I said, still smiling. That's when she panicked, threw things, put her fist through the wall. "I thought it was Thursday. I thought my check came today." I froze when she raised her hand toward me, but I spoke fast. "I have $20. Immediately, her expression softened. "You're such a good, responsible girl," she whispered, and took the money straight to the store. She didn't buy food. She came back with more art supplies and locked herself in again. You might be wondering where I got that $20. There was this kid at school. Loaded, rude, always flashing cash. I started keeping tabs on who had money and when. Every time Mom needed just a little more, I found a way. Like most kids doing things they know they shouldn't, I got sloppy. After 3 months, Ms. Lee caught me. When she called me into her office, I braced for shouting or a call to the cops. But instead, she asked questions, gently. Not an interrogation, more like curiosity. "What's your favorite food? Rice with ketchup. What do you and your mom do together?" Sometimes, when she gets her check and does art, I sit by the door and talk to her. "What time do you go to sleep?" 2 a.m., when she goes quiet. I kept smiling, just happy that someone was listening. But when I looked up, she had tears in her eyes. She handed me a Nintendo Switch and asked me to wait. 2 hours later, she came back, with 2 officers and a woman from Family Services. They said they needed to check on my mom. I panicked. "No, she's working. She needs quiet." But they were already walking me to the car. When we arrived, Mom didn't answer the door. The officers said they were doing a wellness check. I begged them not to interrupt her, but the door wasn't even locked. I was the one to knock on her door. "Mom, there are people here." She didn't answer. One of the officers opened the door, and what I saw changed everything. No art, no easel, no brushes. Just my mom, sitting on the floor, surrounded by things I didn't yet understand. The air thick, the walls coated in mold, the floor barely visible beneath the mess. That was the moment I realized. I hadn't been supporting her art. I'd been keeping her alive for something else entirely. By the time the officers walked into her room, I wasn't scared anymore. I was ready to ask the woman in the suit, Victoria, to just take me away. When she placed a gentle hand on my shoulder, I jumped, but her voice was calm. "It's going to be okay," she said. The officers were already inside, and from the hallway, I could hear my mom yelling, throwing things, glass shattering. Victoria pulled me back to the living room and sat me down on our old broken couch. I couldn't stop shaking. Eventually, the officers came out. My mom was in handcuffs, crying, screaming my name. I instinctively tried to go to her, but Victoria gently held me back. My mom kept repeating how sorry she was, how much she loved me. And then, they drove her away. I stood at the window and watched the car disappear. Victoria sat beside me and explained I'd be staying somewhere else for a while. She asked if there was any family nearby. I told her about Aunt Sarah, 2 towns over. We hadn't seen her in years. Mom always said she was too harsh and judgmental. Victoria made some calls while I packed what little I had into a trash bag. A few shirts, 2 pairs of pants, some underwear. She helped me collect my school things and found my report card on the floor, the one I'd shown my mom days earlier. All A's, just 1 B in math. "You should be proud of yourself," Victoria said. "It took about an hour to drive to Aunt Sarah's house. It looked massive compared to our place. 2 full stories, a yard, a front porch. She opened the door before we even knocked. She looked just like my mom, but different, healthier, softer. She pulled me into the tightest hug I'd ever felt. While Victoria explained everything, I sat on a real couch, cushions and all. Aunt Sarah wiped her eyes and said she'd been trying to get custody of me for years, but Mom wouldn't let her close. I never knew. After Victoria left, Aunt Sarah showed me to my new room. A real room. Bed, sheets, closet. She told me it was mine now. I stood frozen, staring at the bed. She asked if I was hungry. I said no, even though my stomach was growling. She made me a sandwich anyway. Turkey, cheese, lettuce. I ate it so fast I nearly got sick. That night, I slept on the floor. Habit, I guess. In the morning, she found me there and started crying. She didn't get mad, just helped me into the bed and tucked me in. I stayed there for 3 days, only got up for the bathroom. She brought me food and water. Never asked questions. On the 4th day, I finally came downstairs. She was making pancakes, real ones from scratch. She asked if I wanted to help. I nodded. We cooked in silence. I ate 6 pancakes. She didn't say a word, just smiled and made more. After breakfast, she asked if I wanted to get new clothes. I told her I didn't have any money. She said, "That's my job now." We went to Target. She let me choose whatever I wanted. I kept checking price tags until she gently told me to stop. I got new jeans, shirts that actually fit, a warm coat, shoes without holes, even pajamas with matching tops and bottoms. At home, she helped me fold and put everything away in the closet. Then she sat on the bed and asked if I wanted to talk about my mom. I shook my head. She said, "That's okay. We can talk whenever you're ready, or never. That's up to you." But then she added something I didn't expect. "Your mom was sick. None of this was your fault. And you couldn't have fixed it. You already did more than any kid should ever have to do." That broke me. I started crying. Not just tears, full, messy, ugly sobs, the kind that shake your whole body. She didn't try to hush me, didn't say it would be okay. She just held me, let me fall apart. 2 weeks later, school started. Aunt Sarah drove me herself in her old Civic that smelled like coffee and vanilla. She walked me to the office and helped set everything up. New contact info, new address, new life. The secretary kept giving me that look, the one that makes you feel small and broken. But Aunt Sarah just smiled and told me to have a good day. Her perfume smelled different than Mom's. Safer, calmer. I was terrified. What if everyone knew? What if they stared? But no one did. I went to class, ate lunch alone, did my homework in the library. Miss Chen, the librarian, started leaving little bowls of pretzels on my usual table. And for the first time in a long time, I was eating 3 meals a day, sleeping in a bed, and starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could be okay. For the first time in my life, I had a bed that wasn't just a mattress on the floor. Real sheets, pillows that didn't feel like folded towels. I could take hot showers without worrying about the water getting cut off. Aunt Sarah even signed me up for soccer, just because I once said it looked fun. She bought me cleats that actually fit, shin guards, even a water bottle with my name on it, and she came to every practice. Always there on the bleachers, cheering quietly with the other parents. I wasn't good at first, but the coach said I was improving. My teammates were kind. One girl, Isabella, even invited me to her birthday party. I'd never been to one before. A real birthday party. Then my phone rang. Aunt Sarah had given me a flip phone, just for emergencies. It was simple, had a tiny charm hanging from it that she said would bring me luck. I was doing homework when the call came. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. It was her, my mom. Her voice sounded clearer, steadier. She said she was in a recovery program now. She missed me. She was sorry. She wanted to see me, just once, to explain, to make things right. I told her I'd think about it, and hung up. My hands were shaking so badly the phone slipped and hit the floor with a loud thud. I didn't tell Aunt Sarah. I knew I should have. But I didn't want her to take the phone away. The calls kept coming. Always while Aunt Sarah was at work. Always saying the same things. That she loved me. That she was doing better. That she just needed to see me. Just once. Her voice carried that familiar desperation. Like she was trying to sound calm but couldn't quite manage it. By the 5th day, she told me she was getting out soon. Said maybe this time we could be a real family. She'd get a job, find an apartment. We'd have food, warmth, even a cat, like I'd always wanted. And I started to believe her. I began saving lunch money instead of eating. Told Aunt Sarah I wasn't hungry at dinner. Hid half my food in napkins and threw it out later. I needed to be ready when Mom got out. I needed to help. That's what I'd always done, right? But old habits have a way of showing. Aunt Sarah noticed I was losing weight. She took me to the doctor. The diagnosis? Malnourished. From then on, she watched me closely. Every bite, every meal. I got creative, hiding food, feeding bits to her dog Bruce when she wasn't looking. He thought it was a game. Meanwhile, my mom's calls got more frequent. 3, sometimes 4 times a day, even during class. She said the treatment center was awful, that they didn't understand her, that she needed out. She begged me to help, asked if I still loved her, called me her good girl. And I said yes. To all of it. Her voice pulled me back in, made me forget everything that had happened. All I could hear was the time she'd held me during a storm, when I thought I was going to fall apart and she made me feel safe. Just once. Then she told me the date. October 15th. A Tuesday. That's when she'd be released. She said she'd come get me. We'd run away together. Start over somewhere warm like California. She'd stay clean this time. She promised, and I wanted to believe her. I really did, so I started packing. Slowly. A few clothes here and there. My favorite jeans. That soft sweater Aunt Sarah got me. I took snacks from the pantry, granola bars, crackers, and hid them under my bed. Filled bottles with water. Made a plan. I was ready. My mom wanted me. After everything, she still wanted to be my mom. That had to mean something, right? The night before she was supposed to call, I couldn't sleep. Kept staring at my phone, waiting for that message. The one that would tell me where to go. I had it all mapped out. I'd sneak out while Aunt Sarah was at work. Take the bus, meet her. We'd be together again. I even wrote Aunt Sarah a note. Thanked her for everything. Told her I'd be okay. Rewrote it 10 times, trying to make it sound right. Then morning came. No call. I went to school like normal, my backpack heavier than usual, filled with food and clothes. Checked my phone between every class. Nothing. At lunch, Isabella asked if I wanted to sit with her. I said no, I couldn't think, couldn't eat. By the time Aunt Sarah picked me up after school, I was spiraling. What if something happened? What if they didn't let her out? What if she'd already forgotten me? That night, Aunt Sarah made my favorite dinner, chicken and rice. Usually I'd clear my plate in minutes, but I barely touched it. When she asked if I was feeling sick, I nodded and went to bed early. I laid there in the dark, staring at my phone, silently begging it to ring. It finally did, just after midnight. I grabbed it before the first ring even finished, heart racing. But it wasn't her. It was a man. His voice was rough, like gravel, like he'd smoked 1,000 cigarettes. Said he was a friend of hers. That she was staying with him, trying to get back on her feet. She just needed a little help, a bus ticket, $100. Could I get it? I said I didn't have any money, he snapped. Said I was being selfish. That my mom talked about me all the time, her perfect daughter, the one who always helped. And now I wouldn't lift a finger when she needed me most? I started crying, told him I'd figure something out. He told me to meet him at the Shell station near my school. Cash only. Tomorrow. And don't tell anyone, he said. If you do, your mom could get into serious trouble, maybe even jail. You want that on your conscience? I said no. Then I hung up. I couldn't sleep, couldn't think. I knew Aunt Sarah kept cash in her purse. Usually just a little, maybe $40, $50. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I took $40. The bills were fresh, probably from the ATM. My stomach turned the whole time. I nearly put them back. Twice. But I didn't. Because I kept thinking, my mom needed me. And this time, I could actually help. At school, I couldn't focus. My mind was stuck on that money in my pocket. At lunch, I walked to the gas station. And he was there. Just like he said. Tall, skinny, neck tattoos, some kind of snake or dragon. He grabbed the cash, counted it right there. This isn't enough, he said. She needs at least $200. I told him that's all I had. He narrowed his eyes. You better find the rest. Your mom's counting on you. Then he left. Drove away in a beat-up truck, belching smoke. I walked back to school with a knot in my stomach. $40 gone. And I was no closer to seeing my mom. That night, I couldn't eat. Aunt Sarah felt my forehead, asked if I was okay. I said maybe I should still go to school tomorrow. Too fast, too defensive. She gave me a strange look but didn't say anything else. When she went to bed, I crept downstairs. The floor creaked under every step. In the kitchen drawer, the one marked emergency, she kept cash. I'd seen it before. I opened it with trembling fingers. $200 in crisp 20s. I took it all. Went back to bed and stared at the ceiling, wide awake. I kept picturing Aunt Sarah opening that drawer in the morning, realizing what was missing. What would she think of me? What would she do? The next day, I met the man again. Handed him the money. He grinned. "She'll call you tonight, promise. Set up the plan." And I believed him. Because I needed to. At school, I moved through the day like a ghost. Couldn't concentrate. Couldn't eat. Isabella invited me over for tacos. I said maybe another time. She looked disappointed. I didn't have the space to feel guilty. All I could think about was the plan, the escape, being with my mom again. That night, Aunt Sarah made spaghetti, from scratch. She spent the whole afternoon in the kitchen. The house smelled like garlic and tomatoes. She even made meatballs. Real ones, not from a can. She was excited, chatting about maybe going to the beach that weekend. Packing a picnic, bringing Bruce. I smiled. I ate. I nodded. And inside, I felt like the worst person on earth. After dinner, she hugged me tight. Said she loved me. I almost told her. I almost said everything, but I didn't. Just hugged her back and went to my room. At 10 ago, my phone rang. Unknown number. It wasn't my mom. It was the man again. Something had gone wrong, he said. She'd been picked up. Some old legal issues. She was in jail now. And unless she made bail, $500, she could be stuck there for months, years even. Was that what I wanted? For my mom to be locked up because I couldn't help? I said I didn't have that kind of money. He told me to figure it out. I had until tomorrow night. Then she was on her own. I knew Aunt Sarah didn't keep that kind of cash just lying around, but she had a jewelry box upstairs. Some of the pieces looked expensive. Maybe I could take one. Just one. Sell it. She wouldn't notice right away. And by then, I'd be gone. With my mom. And we'd pay her back. Eventually. Because this time, my mom promised things would be different. I waited until I heard Aunt Sarah snoring, then slipped into her room as quietly as I could. Her jewelry box sat on the dresser. Dark wood, little carved flowers on the lid. I opened it slowly. There were necklaces, bracelets, rings, pieces that probably meant something. I picked out a gold necklace that looked heavy. Gold had to be worth a lot, right? I was about to leave when I saw something tucked into the mirror. A photo. It was me and Aunt Sarah, taken after my first soccer game. We were both grinning like idiots. I looked happy. Genuinely happy. Happier than I ever looked in photos with my mom. I just stood there, holding the necklace, staring at the photo. And then I heard her voice behind me. Aunt Sarah had woken up. She didn't yell, didn't demand I put the necklace back. She didn't even sound mad. Just tired, sad. She asked me to sit down, so I did. Still holding the necklace. She asked if I needed money. And that's when everything came spilling out. All of it. My mom's phone calls. The man. The gas station. The money I'd already taken. The stories. The promises. The lies. She listened without interrupting. When I finally stopped, she reached out and asked for my phone. I handed it over. She went through the call log quietly. Then she hugged me. "This isn't your fault," she said. "Your mom, she's sick. And this man, he's not her friend. He's most likely the one supplying her. There's no bail. There's no arrest. Just another trick to get money." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say my mom needed me, that she loved me, that she was getting better. But somewhere deep down, I knew. She hadn't come to see me, not once. She'd been out for days. And still, she sent someone else, a stranger, for money. Same story, same cycle, same hope that maybe this time it would be different. Aunt Sarah called the police, gave them a description of the man and the gas station he used. Then she called the phone company and changed my number. She told me we'd deal with the money tomorrow. Tonight, I just needed rest. She tucked me into bed like I was 5, sat with me until I stopped crying, told me I was safe, that I didn't have to take care of anyone anymore, that it was her job now, and she wasn't going anywhere. The next few weeks were hard. I kept expecting my mom to show up, pound on the door, demand to see me, but she never came. The man got arrested. The police said he gave up information about her, said she was back in a house full of people who were all using. They didn't think she even remembered calling me. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't care. Either way, it hurt the same. Aunt Sarah found me a therapist, Dr. Martinez. She specialized in kids like me. Kids who had to grow up too fast. Kids who played the role of parent when no one else would. Her office smelled like peppermint tea and books. She had soft chairs and tissues on every table. She taught me about boundaries, about how it wasn't my job to rescue my mom, that love isn't enough to fix someone who doesn't want to change, that none of this was my fault. It made sense in my head, but my heart still wasn't sure. I started doing better in school. Turns out, when you're not constantly worried about someone else, you can actually focus. My grades went from good to great. Teachers noticed, and not because I was falling asleep in class or stealing snacks. Isabella invited me over again. This time, I said yes. We played video games, ate pizza, talked about which boys were cute and which ones had weird hair. Normal stuff. Stuff I'd never let myself have before. Soccer ended. Aunt Sarah signed me up for basketball. I was terrible at it, like really bad. But no one cared. My teammates just wanted me to have fun. So I did. I ran. I missed every shot. I laughed when I tripped over my own feet. And Aunt Sarah was at every single game. After one match, she bought ice cream for the whole team. Other parents started talking to her, asking if I could come to birthday parties, sleepovers. She always said yes. Dr. Martinez said I was making progress, learning how to be a kid instead of a caretaker. But I still had days, bad days, when I missed my mom so much it felt like my chest might cave in. Days when the memories of the good stuff drowned out all the reasons I had to let her go. Dr. Martinez said that was normal, that those feelings would never fully disappear, but they'd get easier to carry, and she was right. One afternoon, Aunt Sarah asked me if I wanted to visit my mom. She was in a real rehab facility this time, clean for 60 days. Her counselor thought seeing me might help her stay on track, but only if I felt ready. No pressure. I thought about it for a week, changed my mind a dozen times, and then I said yes. I needed to know if it was real, if she was really trying, or if it was just another chapter in the same story. The facility was nothing like I expected. Clean, bright, windows everywhere. She was waiting in the visiting room. She looked different, healthy, her skin was clearer, her hair was clean. She'd gained some weight, not too much, just enough to look alive again. And when she saw me, she cried. So did I. We hugged for a long time. She smelled like soap instead of smoke, and for the first time in years, she felt solid. She didn't feel fragile this time. She felt real. When we sat down, she reached across the table and held my hands, her eyes filled with tears as she apologized. For everything. For the chaos. For the fear. For the nights I went to bed hungry, scared, alone. She said she wouldn't blame me if I hated her, that she had been the kind of mother no child should have to survive. But she was sorry. Truly sorry. And I told her something I hadn't even said out loud until then. I never hated you. I loved you. Even in the worst moments. Especially then. She cried harder. Said she didn't deserve that love, but she was grateful for it. That she was going to meetings, taking her medication, learning to face her pain without escape. She said it might take years, and I might never fully trust her again. But she wanted to earn back whatever she could. We talked for almost an hour. About school, soccer, Aunt Sarah. She said she was thankful I had someone good looking after me. That safety and love were all she ever truly wanted for me, even when she couldn't give them herself. When our visit ended, she hugged me tight, told me she loved me, that she'd always love me. She said she'd call whenever the center allowed or write letters, whatever I felt okay with. But only when I was ready. My healing came first, and she'd wait, no matter how long it took. On the drive home, Aunt Sarah didn't say much. Just let me sit with it all. When we got back, she made hot chocolate and we curled up on the couch together. I told her everything, how different my mom seemed, how she'd apologized, how she said she wanted to try. Aunt Sarah just nodded. I hope it's real, she said. And if it is, we'll take it one day at a time. No expectations, no pressure, just see where it goes. And that's what we did. Every Sunday at 3 p.m., my mom would call. We'd talk about school, books, little things. She told me about the job training program she joined, the grocery store job she got. She even sent photos of her room in the halfway house. Just a bed and a dresser, but she was proud. Said it was the first space she'd paid for herself in years. I pinned one of the photos next to my soccer team picture. Then, one day she asked if we could meet for lunch. Just the two of us. somewhere public. No pressure. Aunt Sarah could drop me off and pick me up. I thought about it for days. Asked Dr. Martinez what she thought. She told me it was my call, and to trust my gut. My gut was scared, but curious. So I said yes. We met at a Denny's near her halfway house. She was already there when I walked in, sipping coffee, clearly nervous. We hugged awkwardly, sat down, pretended to study the menus. The waitress came twice before we were ready to order. I got pancakes, she got a salad. We made small talk about basketball, the weather, her work schedule. Then she slid an envelope across the table. Inside was $240. She said it was the money I'd stolen for her. The money her dealer took. She'd been saving every week to pay it back. Said she wanted Aunt Sarah to have it, but thought I should be the one to give it. Part of her amends. I stared at the money. All I could think about was how scared I'd been when I took it. How convinced I was that if I didn't, I'd lose her forever. She apologized again for putting me in that position, for being the kind of mother whose child had to steal to survive. I told her Aunt Sarah never held it against me, that she forgave me the same day it happened. My mom smiled. Said that sounded like Sarah. Always the strong one, even when they were little. She told me stories from when they were kids. Said Sarah always looked out for her, tried to keep her on the right path. But she hadn't listened. She'd chosen escape instead of family, and she'd regretted it every single day since. When lunch ended, she walked me outside, asked if we could do it again, maybe once a month. I said I'd think about it. That's fair, she said, smiling. More than fair. When Aunt Sarah pulled up, my mom waved but stayed where she was. Didn't approach the car, didn't push, just waited. I got in and we drove off. I watched my mom in the mirror until she disappeared around the corner. That night, I gave Aunt Sarah the envelope. She tried to hand it back, but I insisted. It's important, I said. She tucked it into her wallet. No speeches, no drama. Just done. We made tacos that night and watched a movie. Bruce curled up between us on the couch. It was a normal Tuesday night, and it felt good. After that, my mom and I kept meeting once a month. Always the same Denny's. Pancakes for me, salad for her. She stayed clean, got promoted to shift supervisor, moved into a small apartment with another woman in recovery, sent me pictures of their place. Nothing fancy, but clean, bright, stable. For my 13th birthday, she asked if she could take me shopping. Real shopping, not stealing, not scraping by. She had a budget, a plan, everything saved up. Aunt Sarah said yes, but I could tell she was nervous. Honestly, I was nervous too, but my mom showed up on time, took me to the mall, let me pick out clothes, books, even a new backpack for school. And as we walked out with shopping bags in our hands, something strange and beautiful happened. For the first time, I didn't feel like her caretaker. I felt like her daughter. She didn't complain about prices, didn't guilt me over what I picked, even bought us pretzels at the food court. When she dropped me off, she handed me one more thing, a letter. She told me to read it when I felt ready. Maybe with Aunt Sarah, maybe with Dr. Martinez, maybe just alone. That night, I waited until everything was quiet, then sat on my bed and opened it. Her handwriting was neater than I remembered. The letter was long. 5 pages, front and back. She told me everything. She wrote about her own childhood, how her dad left when she was 7, how her mom worked 3 jobs and was never home, how she started drinking at 12 just to feel something and moved to heavier stuff by 15, how she met my dad at 17. Thought he was her way out. But he was just another version of the same story. She wrote about finding out she was pregnant with me, how she wanted to get clean, how she tried, really tried, but couldn't, how she told herself she'd quit after I was born. But addiction doesn't work that way. She said she loved me the moment she saw me, but love wasn't enough. The substances always won, even when it broke her, even when she saw what it was doing to me. She wrote about listening to me cook dinner, doing homework, tucking myself in, how she felt both proud and ashamed. Proud that I could survive, ashamed that I had to. She said she used to lie there high and swear that tomorrow she'd change. But tomorrow never came. She wrote about the day they took me away, how it was the worst day of her life, and the best. Worst, because she lost me. Best, because I was finally safe. She spent her first month in rehab, trying to figure out how to get me back, making the same promises, the same excuses, until her counselor told her the truth, that she wasn't capable of being my mother. Not then, maybe not ever. That real love meant letting me go. She wrote about hearing updates from Aunt Sarah, about my soccer games, my good grades, my friends, how it broke her heart and healed it at the same time. Because I was happy, even without her. She said she had to learn to want that for me, to want my happiness more than her presence, to love me more than she needed me. And then she wrote about now, about how every day she woke up and chose to stay clean, not for me, for herself, because for the first time in her life, she believed she deserved better. She told me she was learning how to be a person again, not just a mother, not just an addict, a person, with light and dark, mistakes and growth. At the end, she wrote, "You saved my life, by leaving, by thriving without me. You showed me everything I was missing, everything I was destroying. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a relationship. I just wanted you to know the truth. You are the best thing I ever did. Even if I did it badly, even if it hurt us both, you are both my greatest gift and my deepest regret, and both can be true." I cried reading it. I cried harder showing it to Aunt Sarah, and again in Dr. Martinez's office trying to talk about it. But for the first time, the tears didn't feel like weakness. They felt like release. Because that letter didn't just explain her. It explained me. Why I'd carried so much weight. Why I'd never stopped wondering what else I could have done. Why I needed so badly to believe it wasn't all my fault. The letter didn't excuse the past, but it helped me understand it. It made her human, not a villain, sick, not evil, and it made it possible to forgive her, and maybe even forgive myself. After that, our lunches got easier. We talked about real things, her progress, my classes. She never pushed for more than I could give. Never asked for holidays or sleepovers or things I wasn't ready for. She just showed up once a month and was present, and that was enough. Sophomore year, I made varsity basketball. My mom came to a game, sat in the back row, didn't talk to Aunt Sarah, didn't draw attention, just clapped when I scored. Sent me a text afterward. "I'm proud of you." That was it, and it was perfect. She kept coming to games, always in the back, always leaving quietly. Sometimes I waved, sometimes I didn't, and either way, she showed up. Junior year, she got her own apartment. No roommates, just her and a cat named Harley. She was promoted to assistant manager at the store, had health insurance, a savings account. Things that sound normal, but felt like miracles. Then she invited me to dinner. Said Aunt Sarah could come too, just to make sure everything felt safe. I told her I'd think about it. It took me a month to say yes. Dr. Martinez reminded me, there's no right answer, just the one that feels right for you. When I finally went, Aunt Sarah dropped me off but didn't come inside. "This is your thing," she said. "I'll be right outside if you need me." My mom made spaghetti, not from a can, real sauce, fresh garlic, a side salad. And as we sat down, with Harley purring at our feet, something hit me. She was still my mom, but now, she was someone I was meeting again. Not who she used to be, not who I needed her to be, just who she was now. And that was enough. She made the sauce from scratch. Tomatoes, basil, garlic, not from a jar. And we talked about everything except the past. School, her cat, the weird show she'd started watching. It was nice. Weird, but nice. I started visiting her once a month, sometimes twice. Always told Aunt Sarah where I'd be. Always had my phone. Always had a quiet exit plan, but I never needed it. My mom kept things light, kept things safe. Showed me, not with words, but with consistency, that she could be trusted. At least with this. At least for now. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Senior year, she came to my graduation. Not sitting in the back, not hiding in the shadows, right there in the crowd with the other parents. She took pictures when I walked across the stage, gave me a quick hug after, told me she was proud, told me she loved me, said, "See you at lunch next week." And then she left. No drama. No attempts to squeeze into the family photos. Just present, then gone. Exactly what I needed. Now I'm in college, just a couple hours from home. Home being Aunt Sarah's house. Always will be. My mom and I text sometimes. Still grab lunch when I'm in town. She's been clean 6 years now. She's got a life. Friends from recovery, a boyfriend named Kyle, a manager title at the store. Her problems these days sound like everyone else's. Car trouble. Deadlines. Taxes. She asked me once, gently, if I thought I'd ever call her Mom again. Since I moved in with Aunt Sarah, I've called her by her first name. Mom just felt too heavy, too complicated, too full of history. I told her, maybe one day, if it ever felt right. She smiled. Said she understood. Said her name was just fine. Said having me in her life at all was already more than she ever expected. And I believed her. Aunt Sarah's still Aunt Sarah. Still comes to my games. Still makes sure I'm eating enough. Still hugs me too tight when I come home for breaks. Still, my real parent in all the ways that count. She never adopted me. Said she didn't need paperwork to love me. Didn't need a title to be my family. And she was right. Blood makes you related. But love makes you family. She chose me. Every day. Still does. I'm studying social work now. I want to help kids like me. Kids who grow up raising themselves. Kids who take care of parents who never learned to take care of them. Who believe love always means sacrifice. Who think they're not worth saving. Dr. Martinez says I'll be good at it. Says pain can have purpose. That maybe I can turn what I've lived through into light for someone else. Maybe she's right. My mom sends me cards on holidays, texts me on my birthday, comes to big things when invited, stays away when not. We have boundaries now, clear ones, and we both respect them. We're not mother and daughter in the traditional sense. Not exactly friends either. Something in between, something unique, something that works. Sometimes I still think about that 11-year-old girl, cooking rice with ketchup, sleeping on the floor, stealing to survive, thinking that was just how life worked. Thinking that love meant silence. Thinking she had to earn it. And the truth is, she was loved. Just not in the way she needed. Not in the way she deserved. But she made it out. She got Aunt Sarah, and Dr. Martinez, and teammates, and friends, and a future. A real one. A good one. And now, when her mom calls, just to say hi. Just to hear her voice. Just to be there for a few minutes, she remembers. Love is messy. People can be sick and still love you. You can love them back without losing yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Moving forward doesn't mean going back. And family? Family is what you make it. Who you choose. How you show up. So, yeah, that's my story. Kid who raised herself. Mom who chose escape. Aunt who chose me. Not a fairy tale. Not a tragedy. Just life. What happened? What's happening? And what might come next. One day at a time. One choice at a time. One lunch at a time. And for me, that's enough. More than enough.